Most people expect aging to announce itself. They imagine pain, a diagnosis, a clear moment where something breaks. But the truth is far quieter than that. For many people, the most profound changes in later life arrive without drama. No alarms, no warnings. They arrive the way dusk does, slowly, almost politely. One day, you'll wake a little earlier than you used to. Food doesn't sit quite the same. Your balance feels less reliable. Sleep feels lighter, like it no longer reaches all the way down. Nothing hurts enough to call it illness. Nothing feels serious enough to worry your family. So you tell yourself what everyone tells themselves. This is just aging, but there's something most people aren't told. After a certain point, often somewhere in the mid-70s, the body doesn't simply slow down. It begins to change the rules, not all at once, not in obvious ways, and not because you did anything wrong. These changes unfold quietly, often years before you realize something has shifted. That's why so many people are caught off guard later, wondering when things changed and why no one mentioned it sooner. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 changes that commonly reshape the body after 75. Not as a warning, not as a countdown, but as an understanding. Because when you understand what's happening, frustration gives way to clarity, and aging stops feeling like a personal failure. Let's begin with the change most people notice first, often in the quiet hours of the night. Change number 5, when sleep stops following the old rules. For most of life, sleep followed a predictable pattern. You stayed up, you grew tired, you slept deeply, you woke and moved on. After 75, that pattern often changes, quietly. Many people fall asleep without trouble, then wake earlier than expected. Others wake during the night, alert and calm, unsure why rest won't return. Nothing feels serious enough to call illness. So it's easy to assume you're doing something wrong. But what's changing isn't effort, it's structure. Deep, restorative sleep becomes shorter and lighter. Sleep still happens, but in smaller segments rather than long, uninterrupted stretches. At the same time, the body's internal clock often shifts forward. Sleep arrives earlier. Morning comes sooner. This confuses people because familiar advice stops working. Staying up later doesn't help. Lying in bed longer adds frustration. What helps more is letting go of old expectations. Earlier rest, shorter cycles, calmer mornings. Sleep after 75 may be different, but different doesn't mean broken. It's often the first sign that deeper shifts are underway. Change number 4, when temperature regulation becomes less flexible. For decades, your body managed temperature automatically. You felt cold, you warmed up. You felt hot, you cooled down. After 75, that system often becomes less reliable. Many people notice it in small ways. Feeling chilled when others are comfortable. Feeling drained by warmth that once felt harmless. Needing layers or shade sooner than expected. Nothing dramatic, but persistent. What's changing isn't sensitivity, it's regulation. The body adjusts more slowly. Heat is harder to release. Cold is harder to block. Warning signals often arrive late. The margin for error narrows. Comfort now depends more on environment than endurance. Stable temperatures matter more. Layers matter more. Hydration matters, even when thirst doesn't announce itself. The body isn't asking to be tested, it's asking to be supported. And as temperature becomes harder to manage, another system begins to slow in ways that affect daily comfort even more. Digestion. Change number 3, when digestion slows. For much of life, digestion works quietly in the background. You eat, your body handles it. Discomfort is occasional. After 75, digestion often becomes slower and less forgiving. Many people notice fullness that lingers, bloating after familiar meals, or the sense that food sits longer than it used to. Nothing feels urgent. But eating takes more effort. Food moves more slowly. Digestive enzymes decrease. Nutrient absorption becomes less efficient. As a result, the body asks for cooperation. Large meals become harder to manage. Heavier foods take longer to clear. Regularity matters more than variety. Smaller, simpler meals often feel better. Chewing thoroughly matters more. Steady routines reduce discomfort. As digestion slows, another system begins to demand attention, one tied directly to confidence and safety. Balance. Change number 2, when balance can no longer be taken for granted. For most of life, balance feels automatic. You walk, you turn, you move without thinking. After 75, balance often becomes less reliable. Subtly at first, you may misjudge a step, feel unsteady when turning, or hesitate where movement once felt easy. What's changing isn't just strength, it's coordination. Balance depends on vision, inner ear signals, muscle awareness, and processing speed working together. With age, these signals arrive more slowly and integrate less smoothly. Corrections take longer. Confidence can quietly erode. Fear of falling may appear, and tension makes balance worse. Intentional movement now matters more than speed. Clear pathways, good lighting, and supportive footwear reduce unnecessary risk. Balance doesn't disappear. It simply needs attention instead of assumption. And beneath all of these changes lies the most influential one of all: muscle. Change. Number 1. When muscle determines independence. Muscle does more than move the body. It supports balance, stabilizes joints, protects metabolism, and determines how easily daily life unfolds. After 75, muscle loss often accelerates. Not because of laziness, not because of failure, but because the body becomes less efficient at maintaining muscle tissue. Recovery slows, repair signals weaken, and muscle is lost more easily during inactivity. This matters because muscle is closely tied to independence. Standing up from a chair, climbing stairs, catching yourself if you stumble, carrying everyday objects. The encouraging truth is that muscle still responds, just more slowly. Consistency matters more than intensity. Regular movement matters more than pushing limits. Protein and recovery matter more than they once did. After 75, muscle becomes a long conversation, not a short project. Small, repeated efforts protect function far better than occasional bursts of effort. When muscle is supported, balance steadies, energy improves, and daily life becomes easier to manage. None of these changes mean your body is failing you. They mean the conversation has changed. After 75, the body responds less to force and old expectations, and more to attention, consistency, and care. Sleep becomes lighter. Temperature needs support. Digestion slows. Balance asks for awareness. Muscle asks for steady use. Aging will change the rules. How you respond to them is still within your influence. Growing older doesn't mean growing weaker. It means growing more precise.